Part 65. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 641. Eternal Tower. Floor 39. After climbing the tower for a long time, Yebai's figure appeared in the black mist, and monsters immediately rushed towards him. Obviously, these monsters cannot pose any threat to Shura. Yebai's current opponents, the weakest such as Prince Huang, are all level 994. In a sense, Huang Tazi is more like Su Qingfen between level 990 and level 995. Su Qingfen belongs to the universe. Anyway, with his own strength, Yebai captured Prince Huang, adding a touch to his glorious record. Now the monsters on the 39th floor. The strongest one is only the 9th level god of war, who is no match for Yebai. Yebai walked leisurely among many monsters, while converting damage into soul damage, constantly killing monsters. These monsters are all monsters from the demon clan. Obviously, the 39th floor was once the residence of demons, but now they have degenerated and become monsters. Different from the previous layers. On this layer, the traces of being contaminated by the most powerful demon are particularly obvious. Certainly. It's also about time. Previously, when Yebai was busy purifying the lower floors, the most powerful demon god's men had just arrived. Now, Yebai took a trip to the abyss, wasting a lot of time, but actually made the enemy stronger. For Yebai, this is good news. The monster is stronger, but only a little bit stronger, and it is still abused by Shura. Isn't it beautiful? By killing monsters, Yebai's soul skill research is also constantly improving. He had an epiphany before, related to the soul system. That epiphany was stored by Yebai with the Eye of Insight. If used together with soul fragments, it will greatly reduce Yebai's own loss and increase safety. Yebai, who pays attention to cost-effectiveness, would naturally choose this method. Yebai, who returned from the abyss, is now level 599. His strength has greatly increased and he can deal with monsters more easily. The progress of soul skill research has also increased. 42%, 56%, 70%. Soon, he killed all the monsters on this floor and basically cleared them out. At the same time, Yebai's research on soul skills for demons has also improved to 85.6% progress. There is still 14.4% left to succeed. Yebai looked around and saw that there were no demons left. And there are many demons in the abyss. Yebai may have to make another trip to the abyss if he wants to complete the research on his skills. Thinking of this, Yebai frowned and resisted. If he didn't upgrade to level 900, he really didn't want to go to the abyss again. Without him, I am only afraid of death. But if you don't go to the abyss, there will be no monsters to provide Yebai with soul fragments. It's an endless loop. Without soul-based skills targeting demons, Yebai's chance of winning in a battle with the strongest demon seeds on the 40th floor would be less than 100%. This is something Yebai absolutely cannot allow. Why participate in a battle where there is number 100% chance of winning? What's the difference between that and mortality? When in trouble, a prompt popped up in front of Yebai's eyes. Why not use the magical source of evil? Yes. Yebai suddenly remembered how he had forgotten this. The source of demons originally resided in the ancestor of demons. According to Yebai's understanding, the demon ancestor failed to integrate into the most powerful origin, and after being eliminated, he was discharged like garbage. And the most powerful demon god also used Shura's hands to kill the ancestor of demons and avoid future troubles forever. In the process of acting as a tool, Yebai's only harvest won the record of single killing the demon ancestor. 2. The source of evil. With this thing, it should be able to complete the last piece of the puzzle for Yebai to study soul skills. Great. Ye Bai didn't take action immediately. If you want to study the source of demons, you can do it anywhere, but the Eternal Tower is obviously not the best choice. Let's talk about it after we get out. After solving the problem of his confidence, Ye Bai successfully switched to melon-eating mode. He had to use the permission to the Eternal Tower that he had finally obtained through prostitution. Following the method mentioned by Taling before, Ye Bai began to try to call up the previous videos. A console screen appeared in front of him, and it even had a search function. Looking for the target, Ye Bai tried to enter the word hen. But he was surprised to find that as soon as these two words appeared, they began to fade away. Obviously, the Eternal Tower cannot even bear the name of the strongest. Ba, Crumb Tower. Ba, Crumb Tower. Ye Bai discovered that everything can be cooled by the breeze, and everything can be crushed. Since entering his second brother's name failed, Ye Bai decided to do the next best thing and entered Xuemeng's name. This time it worked. The gold content of the most powerful adopted son is still much lower than that of the most powerful person. Ye Bai was sitting on the small bench, with popcorn in his left hand and coke in his right hand, concentrating on eating melon. Two figures appeared on the faint picture. One is heavily armored and the other is dressed in black. Xuemeng? Traceless. The response of the swordsman in black was very simple, only 3 words, simple and crude. Because Xuemeng is Wilhen's adopted son, Ye Bai has always ignored this matter. Ye Bai was stunned. Did he put the wrong disc? Why do I see 2 people at once? Before. Ye Bai looked strange, and he thought of another thing. Ye Bai quickly reminded himself that only 0.1% of Xuemeng's income now belongs to Xuemeng. Yo, it rhymes quite well, as expected of me. Doesn't this mean that Wilhen adopted his own age as his adopted son? 2 swordsmen who broke into the 39th floor at the same time met and a battle broke out. Who the hell are you? Xuemeng, who was holding a broken sword, looked at the swordsman in black in front of him, with an angry look on his face, and shouted. Damn it, they are the same generation. Normal people can't do this kind of thing. 72 years ago. Just this 0.1% depends on Shura's face. And the representative of the silver generation is none other than Xuemeng. People of the Ming dynasty don't tell secrets. The old thief needs to ask for leave. Xuemeng and Wilhen were contemporaries. As expected of the second brother. The Nightmare era is called the Golden Generation, and the Traceless era is called the Silver Generation. In just an instant, the sword in De Menzi's hand was broken. Clearing away the distractions, Ye Bai returned his attention to the scene. The small theater was about to be staged. Ye Bai sighed with emotion on his face. The black-clothed swordsman holding the Heavenly King's sword easily defeated Xuemeng in one confrontation. The window period for accepting Xuemeng as an adopted son has passed, and now it is a loss-making deal. 2 updates today are bad, and 4 updates will be true tomorrow. You can easily do things that ordinary people cannot do. A role model for our generation. No, this is not Ye Baidian's film. Looking at the glorious deeds of his second brother, Ye Bai even felt itchy and wanted to adopt an adopted son for fun. What a mess. Seeing Xuemeng and Wilhen appear at the same time, Ye Bai suddenly realized something and suddenly realized. I'm your father. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 642. Wilhen said I'm your father, and Ye Bai was stunned. Is this okay? The big man that year was still very young. Wilhen was younger that year. In one confrontation, Wilhen cut off the long sword in Xuemeng's hand. Ye Bai saw clearly that Xuemeng was completely inferior to others. Although, the Heavenly King's sword in Wilhen's hand is indeed 1 level higher than the sword in Xuemeng's hand. But even if the 2 sides exchange weapons, it will not change the outcome of the battle. The level of swordsmanship can be known at a glance. Ye Bai continued to stare at the screen of the small movie, not wanting to miss any detail. After being scolded, Xuemeng's expression was dull for a second. As the adopted son of Nightmare, when had he ever suffered such injustice? Who the hell are you, worthy of being my father? Are you also the strongest? Xuemeng was not given a chance to speak again. Wilhen held the Heavenly King's sword and slashed forward with several swords. The world in Ye Bai's eyes seemed to start to slow down, and the flow of time changed. He saw a sword light. No, it's billions of sword lights. In just an instant, Wilhen slashed out countless swords. 1,542,326 swords. Ye Bai. Why does this format make the prompt appear longer? This is called professionalism. Anyway. For the first time in his life, Ye Bai saw Wilhen's sword clearly. In other words, enemies of the same age, facing Wilhen, Ye Bai is sure to survive. Ah, yes, yes. While seeing the sword light clearly, Ye Bai discovered that these sword lights fell around Xuemeng, forming a sword prison. In the sword prison, Xuemeng looked confused and had no idea what was going on. He only has one question mark idea now. The inexplicable swordsman, the inexplicable sword, the inexplicable father. Outside the sword prison, the swordsman in black looked normal and said, "Learning 3 sword moves can protect you from death. Learning 7 moves can break the sword prison." As he spoke, the swordsman in black paused and said with a little pride, "Among the 15,642,326 sword energy, I used 97 sword moves. If you can learn them all, I will adopt you as my adopted son." Xuemeng? You're crazy, who the hell wants to be your son? In the sword prison, Xuemeng became unexpectedly unruly and uttered arrogant words. "I need you as a father." Xuemeng has a biological father and a powerful adoptive father. He is already a rare strong man with 2 fathers in this world. There is no need to find another father for yourself. Ye Bai. You big man, talk less, you can easily get into trouble. Outside the sword prison, Wilhen sneered. "If you can't learn it and want to admit defeat, you can call daddy and I will let you out." Xuemeng. What the hell is going on? After learning 97 sword techniques, Wilhen adopted Xuemeng as his adopted son. Xuemeng recognized Wilhen as his father without learning the 97 sword techniques. Is there any difference? After saying that, Wilhen turned and left. From the sword prison behind him, the pitiful wail of De Menzi could be heard. "Even if you ask me to learn swordsmanship, you still have to give me a sword." De Menzi's previous sword was cut off by Wilhen. "With your qualifications and strength, are you qualified to use a sword?" Wilhen casually pulled out a hammer and threw it into the sword prison. "Here's a hammer, just make do with it." Looking at the small theater in front of him, Ye Bai was speechless for the first time. At Wilhen's level as a tutor. Fortunately, the person I met was Xuemeng. If it had been anyone else, he would have been dead a long time ago. Only Xuemeng, with his rough skin and thick flesh, could withstand such torture. Ye Bai looked at the swordsman in black who was walking away, and then at Xuemeng who stayed where he was. Now, he must make a choice. Should he stay here and watch Xuemeng learn the sword, or should he follow his second brother? If you stay, Ye Bai can learn some sword moves by watching the sword prison. There is no benefit in following the second brother. It may trigger a side plot and get beaten up. What's there to hesitate about? Ye Bai decisively chose to follow his second brother. Xuemeng's swordsmanship can be mastered by Ye Bai as long as he is willing. The dark history of the 18-year-old second brother is rare. Very precious. Not long after Ye Bai followed. The swordsman in black suddenly stopped, looked in Ye Bai's direction, and snorted coldly. "Where's your dad?" Ye Bai. Can second brother see me? Wait, that's not quite right. Yabai realized a detail. Today's second brother is elegant yet violent, irritable yet elegant, and has the demeanor of a thug in a suit. The swordsman in black in front of you, who opens his mouth and shuts up, is your father. He is a little more irritable and less graceful, and he belongs to the type of masked thug. So, this is the 18-year-old second brother? Although I don't know what happened. But it always feels interesting. Yabai said very naturally. Second brother, I am your long-lost half-brother. What a mess. The swordsman in black rolled his eyes and looked around, his expression somewhat clear. You're watching the old video, right? As expected of the second brother, he hit the nail on the head. Second brother, hi. Yabai nodded, without hiding anything from the other party, and even said proactively. It is now 72 years later, and I am the fourth generation of the most powerful seed Shura. No need to say this, I can't remember it. 18-year-old Wilhen has rich experience in facing this situation. Seeing Yabai's confusion, Wilhen explained. My talent allows me to feel the changes in time and space. When you look at me in the future, you will be sensed by me and even be able to communicate with me, just like you are now. However, as a price, I will not have any memory of this incident. No memory? Yabai looked strange. Second brother, are you sure it's a side effect of your talent and not Master Ju sealing your memory? A shield player. Everyone has a time when they are young. No. After all this calculation, Wilhen should be able to tie with Ju. As expected of you, Wilhen. Yabai shook his head again, and took a 2-meter-high thorn shield in front of him, protecting Yabai's vitals. Yabai found that the 18-year-old second brother was quite talkative. Possible. If Huo Tianwang opens his mouth, the conversational content will skyrocket. Master Ju rightward arrow, Uncle Ju rightward arrow, Brother Ju rightward arrow, Xiao Ju. A knife player. Wilhen saw through his thoughts and a smile appeared on his face. 18-year-old Wilhen is obviously more irritable than Abyss's second brother. It sounds like something that Master Ju can do. Then, as soon as the 18-year-old Wilhen opens his mouth, the conversational content will skyrocket. Before Yabai had time to express his guess. From behind the shield, Yabai's steady voice came. Facing the second brother's invitation to fight. Oh. Everyone has been here since they were 18 years old. Time will change the irritable young man back then and turn him into the irritable old man he is today, a look that Yabai is familiar with. If Yabai remembers correctly. Unlike today's second brother, who carries a heavier burden as an idol, cherishes words like gold, and shows off like the wind. Okay, don't waste time, come and play with me. Wilhen's hands are itching unbearably, and he is eager to fight. 18-year-old Wilhen raised his sword and looked at Yabai with interest, especially the Heavenly King's sword on Yabai's waist. The 18-year-old Wilhen raised his eyebrows with disdain in his words. Oh, Wilhen, who has climbed to the 39th floor, has evolved to the stage of 9th brother. Really irritable. The grumpy old man belongs to yes. Yabai held the Heavenly King's sword horizontally in front of him and said in a sincere tone. I am not good at using swords. Don't worry, it's not Brother Ninth's handiwork. I have the most powerful mark in my hand. If every time Wilhen interacts with the future or the past, Yingju knows about it and modifies his memory. At this stage, Yingju was still following Wilhen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 643. Eternal Tower. Floor 39. The war is about to break out. In this strongest and strongest seed competition, the strongest SSS level talent, Eye of Insight, will give you live commentary. The first to attack is the Traceless Player, 18-year-old limited edition. Wilhen, moved. Wilhen stood there with the Heavenly King sword tied around his waist. Countless sword energy flew out from behind him and landed on the thorn shield, making a series of muffled sounds. The best swordsman only needs simple sword handling skills. It's a flying sword, Wilhen used the flying sword. The scene was tense for a time. Countless flying swords returned in vain, Wilhen looked a little solemn, and became more interested in the kid in front of him. Oh! All the sword energy fell on the thorn shield like a mud cow falling into the sea, without causing any substantial damage. Yabai grinned. He was a small skill, but he dared to do the same thing. You underestimate me, the shield mage. Next to Yabai, Kane, who was riddled with wounds, watched this scene silently. He no longer knew what to say. These long-range attacks were all blocked by him. Tired and numb. After the first wave of attacks, Wilhen saw some clues. Interesting soul. Wilhen put away all his sword energy, looked at the shield, and asked seriously. Can it be hacked to death? Kane? Damn it, this is not something that can be solved by adding more money. You, the most powerful human beings, are trying to kill me as a vampire. What the hell is that? Kane almost got anxious. A traceless hacking death is obviously not the kind of hacking death that can be resurrected, but a real death. Obviously, this was the closest moment to death for Kane in his life. Fine. Yabai has a strong sense of protecting his property and declined Wilhen's proposal. Better, don't kill him. In order to convince Wilhen, Yabai added. It's useful. I've killed millions of monsters. This argument is persuasive. A soul that is willing to help the human race kill enemies is definitely useful. Kane on the side reminded him in a low voice. It's 11.62 million. If I had known that killing monsters would save my life. Kane killed even Dracula's share. Obviously. Yabai convinced Wilhen, he nodded slightly. Okay, then I won't kill him. Wilhen drew his sword again, the sword energy was still there. Countless sword energies hit the thorn shield again. Yabai used his shield to resist the attack. He always felt that the fighting style between the two sides was not the same. The second brother is like a cultivator. He looks like a martial arts practitioner. The battle between Xianwu and Xianwu belongs to Yes. Damn it, Shura, act like a mage. Under self-motivation. Yabai put on a thick shield for himself, superimposing various life-saving buffs. Otherwise, you should delete the mage. Shut up, you know nothing. Yabai also had something to say. How to fight this fight? Yabai had already folded his bags and was ready to go. One thunderbolt from the sky would hit his second brother and knock him out of the sky. When the world is overturned, will everything happen again and send the second brother thousands of miles away? The identity and status of both sides determine the offensive and defensive momentum. If Yabai wanted to play with his second brother more, he would have to stay in bed first. It's definitely not because Yabai himself is so stubborn. Yabai was not completely on the defensive. While dropping his sword without a trace, he was also looking for opportunities and loopholes. Search results, impeccable. The rhythm of the attack was as fast as gongs and drums, but there was no flaw, making Yabai unable to counterattack. After slashing enough swords, Wilhen let out a low shout. Seal up. Countless sword auras appeared on Kane's palms, soles, and limbs, echoing each other to form a sword array. Finally, Kane was nailed to the shield of thorns, forming a pattern of a blazing sun. Kane. He was sealed. That's right. A senior vampire who was close to level 990 was sealed by a powerful seed of level 599 72 years ago. Without Kane's assistance, facing the sword energy, Yabai could not be as calm as before, and was even a little in a hurry. A lot of sword energy passed by, causing Ye Bai to almost lose blood. But his adaptation speed exceeded Wilhelm's expectations. When the flying sword comes, the shield blocks it. When the sword energy comes, the shield blocks it. The shield blocks everything. As the battle progresses, the frequency of Wilhelm's attacks is getting faster and faster, and Shura's defense is watertight. The strongest sword and the strongest shield. The sound of sword energy hitting the shield was like a grand symphony. Wilhelm controlled the sword energy and continued to attack while walking slowly towards Shura. The distance between the two of them was gradually shrinking from the 100 paces when the battle began. 80 steps, 60 steps, 30 steps. 10 steps. Wilhelm stopped. 10 steps away, the flying sword is faster. Within 10 steps, the flying sword is fast and accurate. At this distance, the flying sword's attack frequency is already at the limit that Wilhelm can control. But, still can't break through the opponent's defense. Ye Bai had long since lost his joking attitude at the beginning and devoted himself wholeheartedly to this battle. He and his shield are integrated and inseparable. While Ye Bai is getting better and better, the pressure is on Wilhelm. This is the most oppressive shield he has ever encountered since his debut. Wilhelm is willing to call it the strongest. After the two men fought, 18-year-old Wilhelm. The hand fell on the hilt of the sword for the first time. He held the Heavenly King's sword, looked at the thorn shield, and said seriously, "Now you are qualified to fight me. Game time, over. The hunting time begins." Ye Bai. Second brother, these words sound familiar. When Ye Bai fought against Wilhelm projection for the first time, the other party said exactly the same thing. Could it be that 72 years ago, you were already so good at pretending? The first abyss. The swordsman in white and the swordsman in blue are still playing chess. This time, they finally changed to playing Go. Huh. Wilhelm made a sound in surprise, as if he felt something in his heart. Lan Bangxian casually dropped a few sunspots and spoke calmly. "What's the matter?" "There was something I didn't understand." Wilhelm was thoughtful and said casually, "How did I realize the sword broken Jing in the first place?" Mentioning this sword, Lan Bangxian thought of something. Broken thorns. He recalled. Is it the sword that killed the 17th demon god back then? Kill the devil with one sword. At his peak, Wilhelm was invincible in the world. The man who ended 30 years of bloody war with his own hands can generally only be described in 4 words. So scary. It's a small thing, I can't remember it clearly. Wilhelm dropped 361 pieces, looked at the black chessboard, and said modestly, "I won." Looking at the chessboard, Lan Bangxian fell into deep thought. He thought for a while and finally added, "In this game, I hold the black piece." Wilhelm. Wilhelm wanted to be strong in his life, his expression did not change, he said calmly. "No, you hold the white piece." Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 644. Black or white? It doesn't matter. Eternal Tower. The 39th floor. The competition for the strongest and strongest seeds continues. 18-year-old Wilhelm put his hand on the Heavenly King's sword, but made no next move. Ye Bai, who was concentrating as if facing a formidable enemy, looked at Wilhelm quietly. 1 second, 2 seconds. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Yawn. Ye Bai finally couldn't wait any longer and asked. "Second brother, what are you busy with?" "Wu Jian." Wilhelm distractedly explained. "In this state, I can't use my talent, and my sword mastery will be slower." Ye Bai. Enlighten the sword on the spot, master the sword in a few minutes, and then hack the enemy to death. You call this slower? With the blessing of talent, Wilhelm doesn't even need a few minutes to master the sword, it can be done in an instant. After dealing with his second brother a lot, Yabai also figured out some ideas. Wilhelm's talent should be related to time. When it acts on Mr. Lan, he turns Mr. Lan into an 800-year-old grandfather in one breath. When applied to Wilhelm himself, it can speed up sword enlightenment, recovery, sword drawing, etc. It is precisely because of the effect of talent. Only the 18-year-old Wilhelm could talk to Yabai through the air. It's also because of the effect of talent. 18-year-old Wilhelm will forget everything he has experienced after this battle. Seeing his second brother mastering the sword, Yabai yawned again, held up his shield and chatted. "Brother, since you know that I am from the future, does that mean that the future is destined?" "No." Wilhelm replied casually. "My experience is just a possibility in time and space. Time is a very complicated thing. I just apply my talents and deal with various possibilities." After thinking for a while, Wilhelm added, "There is no such thing as destiny. What happened before you is just a determined time, and your future is full of infinite possibilities." Listening to Wilhelm's words, Yabai nodded slightly. Their views on destiny were the same. In other words, this is the strongest spirit passed down from generation to generation. Yabai didn't wait long. A few minutes later, Wilhelm's hand that was holding the sword hilt suddenly became firm, and a bright light popped out of his eyes. Yabai was even a little excited. "All right. You are a bubble teapot, this is the sword that will cut you. Just say it directly. Run away, silly boy." Yabai holds the thorn shield and once again enters the human shield in one state, switching freely. The momentum is rising little by little. In front of Wilhelm, a huge mountain full of thorns seemed to appear, making it difficult for people to start. Feeling the pressure again, Wilhelm felt himself getting excited. When you meet an opponent in chess, you will meet a good talent. Showdowns between the strongest seeds are not common. In this state, Wilhelm cannot use his talents. But Wilhelm believed that the opponent did not use his talent from beginning to end. Otherwise, Wilhelm would have lost long ago. Wilhelm still fully understands the power of SSS-level talents. This sword. The Heavenly King's sword on Wilhelm's waist was drawn out bit by bit, and a shocking sword light appeared. Broken thorns. With this sword strike, Wilhelm was 50% sure of winning, and 30% sure of killing the opponent directly. Anyway, no one will die in the Eternal Tower. Wilhelm gave it a try. Rumble. At this moment, the huge mountain covered with thorns was cut open by the sword light like it was destroying it. The progress was smooth and exceeded Wilhelm's expectations. As smooth as a hot knife cutting through butter. Wrong. A trace of vigilance flashed in Wilhelm's eyes. Just when the sword light was about to completely cut through the giant mountains that were originally separated suddenly closed together. Can a shield still be used like this? After blocking the Heavenly King's sword, Yabai abandoned his shield, drew out the Heavenly King's sword with his backhand, and struck forward. Reach for the stars. Reach for the stars. The two sword moves were launched at the same time. Stop the water flow. Stop the water flow. Hiss. At the same moment, both sides made the same judgment almost at the same time. But Wilhelm's sword was 3 points faster, and Yabai's sword was 3 points heavier. At the same level, Yabai, who has obtained the 39th level SSSS rating, has stronger attributes. In the way of swordsmanship, Wilhelm surpassed Yabai by a lot. After all, industry specializing in surgery. Yabai is a mage, so he can't force too much. Sonorous. The Heavenly King's sword collided with the Heavenly King's sword, splashing countless sparks. They are all taught by Wilhelm, they can't break the trick. Wilhelm's sword skills are diverse. Judging from a single sword, it may not be very powerful. For example, Duan Shui Shui will not die just by bearing the sword. But if the water flow is cut off 10,000 times at the same time, even the waterfall will be cut off. In the blink of an eye, the two have fought for dozens of rounds. Wilhen knocked off Shura's shield with his sword, and punched Shura in the face with his backhand. Yabai also returned the favor, holding the Heavenly King's sword, and blasted the sky with a thunderbolt, forcing him to use the Wilhenshan Qian. Yabai hasn't been proud for too long. Wilhen stabbed Yabai in the heart at an extremely tricky angle, forcing out Yabai's overwhelming power. One after another, the two sides entered a state of bloodlock that could hold the world together. Simply let go of your hands and feet, no more restrictions. All things are born. The Shura sea descends, the four seasons cycle, the thunder of chaos descends, and everything is annihilated. In the sea of thunder, Shura seemed to have descended as a god, possessing the power to destroy heaven and earth with every movement of his hands. At this moment, he was like a Dharma god. Appeared. A rare high-intensity picture of a mage. You are really beating up on your own people, you are really yours, Shura. Feeling the terrifying oppression, Wilhen, who was in the extreme state, obviously pushed himself to the limit and realized the law on the spot. All laws are destroyed. Understand, this is what a mage is like. Just look at Lan Bangxian and you will know. We have fought and fought, but the outcome has not been determined. I can only say that it is a 50-50 split. One sword can break through thorns and kill the devil. Both sides actually had their hands full, worried that if one didn't pay attention, they would really kill the other. Wilhen continued to draw his sword, and slashed out 3 sword lights in succession. If you get close, you can smell a mushy smell. The main thing is that after being hit by the lightning method, it is also charred black, and there is no difference. In the Shura sea, the shadow of spring is broken. Now that. After a few seconds of fighting between gods, Yabai looked at the traceless shadow that was so faint that he knew he could barely talk for about a minute. The most powerful demon was extremely happy. All laws are broken. The white-robed mage was somewhat embarrassed, panting, with a bruised nose and a swollen face. The banquet is open. Without the shield, Yabai's melee strength plummeted, and he was no match for Wilhen. No way. In the Thunder Sea, the black-clothed swordsman went upstream, carrying a huge force, and struck Shura with one sword. But 10,000 methods of killing. 3 sword-raised chopped Xiaokayudong and 2 chaos thunders one after another. The second brother who was more than 70 years ago was so good at pretending. The second brother who was more than 70 years ago should also like to boast. The swordsman in black is still as graceful and elegant as an immortal. Everything that was running smoothly before began to show signs of collapse. Wilhen Shuiying thought for a while and replied. Yabai took out the lines he had prepared a long time ago and said seriously. Okay, I'll try it another day. Boom. Both parties stopped at the same time. Wanfa, kill. Both sides traded injuries for injuries again. Yabai knew that now it was time to enter the familiar stage of kendo praise. A bolt of chaos thunder broke through the sword light defense and fell on the swordsman in black. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 645. Try another day? Try it or die? Listening to Wilhen's calm tone, Yabai was really convinced. The second brother is very good at this aspect. I've beaten him, I've used it, I've praised him. Just as the game entered garbage time, the two started chatting. Wilhen asked curiously. Is ninth brother still alive? Yabai thought for a while and said. If you mean Yingju, he's still alive. It's good to be alive. Wilhen nodded. Brother ninth is still protecting the powerful seeds. Yabai didn't know how to answer for a while. At last. Yabai gave an implicit answer. He's on a business trip. Wilhen didn't ask any more questions and asked instead. Who is in charge of the shadow I created now? Yabai said proudly without any embarrassment. I. Wilhen. What's this damn silence about? Speak. TNND, why don't you say it? Yabai did not wait for the expected praise. The two of them chatted for a few words before Wilhen's shadow slowly disappeared. Yabai knew that even if he invoked his authority again and checked the video, he would not be able to see Wilhen. This kind of experience only happened once, and it was achieved under the influence of Wilhen's talent. After the second brother left, Yabai sorted out the results of the battle. Except that Cain was sealed in the Shield of Thorns and the Shield of Thorns was almost broken into pieces. Yabai seems to have nothing to lose. Cain. Only Cain's wounded world emerged. No big deal. After spending half an hour to recover, Yabai gained a lot from this battle. The strongest swordsman forced out the strongest shield. Among the opponents Yabai has ever fought against, Wilhen is definitely the strongest. Yabai felt no pressure when fighting Su Qingfeng, as relaxed and content as taking part in the quality inspection of the 9th level god of war. Yabai was able to fight to the death 3 times with King Huo Tian, but he was actually able to do so with ease. Although the shield mode has been developed. But King Huo Tian has more than enough murderous intent, but his killing power is not as good as Wilhen. There is no way to push Yabai to his limit. Only Wilhen can achieve this level. Yabai counted carefully. The last time I faced a desperate situation, it seemed that it was also because of my second brother. Break the thorns, break the wealth. It seems that the sword moves with the word broken are quite powerful. Yabai almost recalled the fear of being dominated by bankruptcies. In addition to the stronger perception of using a shield, Yabai also took out a small notebook and wrote down. The sword poaching is very strong, you must learn it. After leaving, Yabai looked for an opportunity to contact Xue Meng. Yabai was even willing to spend money to learn this sword. Its strength is evident. The most important thing is that this sword is two-targeted. It is a sword technique specially developed for Yabai's ultimate defense. Yabai must master poaching before he can crack poaching and enhance his life-saving ability. During this battle, Yabai held a shield of thorns and transformed into a phantom of a giant mountain of thorns. Yabai also had some understanding. Only the thorn shield was almost broken, and Yabai had no replacement for a while and was unable to start experiments. After sorting everything out, Yabai summoned the Eternal Core Crystal, put it on his palm, and began to calculate the clearance score. After a few seconds, throughout the Eternal Tower, familiar reminders rang in the ears of all races. Congratulations to player Shura for successfully retaking the 39th floor of the Eternal Tower. The player Shura SSSS has passed the level 30. The first abyss. The duo at the pinnacle of swordsmanship are still hanging out. I can't play chess today. Strangeness. Wilhen frowned and said casually. I don't know why I always think of the sword breaking the Jing today. It can make the most powerful person reborn without any trace. Could it be that the dead 17th demon god was preparing to attack the human race? Lan Bangxian took over the topic and asked. How long did it take Xue Meng to learn this sword? 3 months. Wilhen gave the answer, thought of the past, and said with a smile. At that time, I thought my son's qualifications were too dull. It takes 3 months to learn even such a simple sword. Almost leaving my son alone. As a qualified advocate. Lan Bangxian asked naturally. And after? Later, I discovered that my son's talent for swordsmanship is top-notch. It turns out that it's not my son who can't do it. Wilhen's tone was full of emotion and he boasted. But the breaking Jing sword is too strong. This sword kills the devil. It can't be said that he is not strong. It can even be listed in the top 20 swordsmanship Wilhelm has learned in his life. Here the traceless memories. Lan Bangxian nodded. As a master of swordsmanship, he also recognized the value of Po Jing's sword. Breaking Jing, whoever uses it knows, breaking armor is the strongest. Lan Bangxian deduced. So, when you realized the sword of breaking the thorn, the enemy you faced should be extremely powerful. It is also extremely good at defense, giving you a strong sense of oppression. Even at the limit, realizing this sword. Lan Bangxian's analysis is reasonable, and it is difficult to find fault with it. There is only one strong enough opponent. Only worthy of such a powerful sword. Wilhelm nodded. As it should be. Although I can't recall how I learned the sword. Who is this mysterious enemy? Unless the mysterious enemy is stronger than the 17th demon god, he has a chance to survive. The 17th demon god is completely cool. Yingju is in the supreme abyss, and Xuemeng is in the second abyss. Neither of them will mention this sword to Shura for no reason. As a trump card, Wilhelm has only used the sword Po Jing once. I'm afraid it's unlikely that I'll have a chance to find out. During the conversation, his transmitter vibrated slightly, and the message came from the most powerful adopted son. Where did Shura learn about this sword? The opponent can still survive after being chopped down by broken thorns. That time, the 17th demon god was killed without anyone watching. The premise is that. Wilhelm shook his head and gave a fair evaluation. What happened again? Wilhelm said with a gloomy face. As for. Wilhelm doesn't know yet. Lan Bangxian. The fifth demon god, who had been wandering outside the first abyss, watched the entire conversation. But. The enemy you faced when you learned the sword back then, was Shura. Discovering something strange, Lan Bangxian said puzzledly. The moment he saw the news clearly, Wilhelm's expression turned strange. Wilhelm is willing to accompany the other party to fight again. That. If there is a chance. My son has sent word that Shura wants to learn the sword Po Jing. Is there a possibility? He felt that it was time for him to appear and draw hatred. Wilhelm and Lan Bangxian are even more impossible. The fifth demon cleared his throat and said calmly. It seems, there is only one possibility left. This is also a possibility that Wilhelm and Lan Bangxian cannot accept. Only Wilhelm, Lan Bangxian, Xuemeng, and Yingju knew about this sword. Wilhelm can deduce everything about the process. Disaster. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 646. The voice of the fifth demon has not yet fallen. The great demon lying on the ground silently gave him a thumbs up. 100% team starting, 100% team participating demon god, well-deserved reputation. You even dare to open this kind of group. To put it mildly. The fifth demon is insulting Xiu. Speaking more seriously. The fifth demon god is insulting Wilhelm. Offending a once powerful man and a future powerful man. The fifth demon god's attempt to commit suicide this time is obviously getting twice the result with half the effort. What the two demon gods never expected. When Wilhelm heard these words, not only was he not angry, but he was thoughtful. After a while, Wilhelm, who has always wanted to be strong in his life, spoke again. You're right, it's probably Shura. Fifth demon god. Just listen to Wilhelm continue to say. From this point of view, among the opponents I have encountered in this life, Shura can be ranked among the top 10 in terms of defense. When Shura becomes the strongest, he can be ranked among the top 2. In this life, Wilhelm traveled across the abyss, and wherever he went, he only left 2 words, invincible. If I heard Wilhelm's evaluation, Shura can even smile crookedly. More importantly, Wilhen is the second generation of the most powerful human race. He has defeated Lan Bangxian, fought against Yingju, and suppressed the entire era with one sword. Wilhen had done this kind of thing more than once, killing the demon god alone. His single kill. One person kills a group of people, one by one. In this case, needless to say, Wilhen's comments like Shura's are so valuable. The scariest part is, Wilhen once fought against the most powerful demon. The most powerful demon god. No matter from which perspective, it is the most powerful existence. In other words, in Wilhen's heart, Shura, who will become the most powerful man in the future, will occupy the top two positions with the most powerful demon in terms of defense alone. Lan Bangxian thought for a moment and nodded again. It makes sense. Wilhen's words contained no humanistic sophistication and were all objective analysis. Avoid embarrassment by elevating Shura. The fifth devil snorted coldly and said disdainfully. Wilhen, is your sword blunt? If we say, the previous group starts were long-distance AoE. So, the fifth demon god's wave of taunts can be described as a face-flipping output. Who would have thought that Wilhen, who was always irritable, would still be tepid and said calmly. I'm just telling a very simple truth. As he spoke, Wilhen flicked the sword at his waist, and the sword made a dragon roar. The most powerful person in my human race has strengths and weaknesses. For example, Wilhen has almost unlimited killing power and is the strongest and sharpest sword among the strongest. So, Wilhen's shortcomings are life-saving and defense. Shura's situation is just reversed. Wilhen said casually. If Shura achieves the ultimate in defense, if he is holding a shield, even if he uses full firepower, he may not be able to kill a certain demon. The expression of the fifth demon gradually became stiff and even became dull. What Wilhen said makes sense. The strongest men of the first three generations of the human race were all capable of killing the fifth demon, but for various reasons, they did not do it. Wait until the fourth generation of the most powerful Shura. Good guy. Listen to what Wilhen means. Even if Shura has the heart, he doesn't have the power. You don't have this ability, you know. In other words, in the next 36 years, the fifth demon god will live and continue to live. It is not until the next generation of the strongest appears that he can see the dawn of death. Lan Bangxian on the side was digesting Wilhen's previous words. After all, the final destination is to practice humiliation. Desire is suppressed and first raised, which belongs to yes. After careful consideration, Lan Bangxian nodded and spoke again. It makes sense. For other powerful people, if they couldn't even kill the fifth demon, it would probably be too much. But when he thought it was Shura, things instantly made sense. Ignoring the fifth demon with a gloomy face, Wilhen continued to walk in the first abyss and at the same time sent a message to Xue Meng. If Shura wants to learn how to break the thorns, let him come to the first abyss to find me. In the wolf's den. Ye Bai looked at the information on the transmitter and fell into deep thought. Second brother wants me to go to the abyss to find him. Speaking of which, Wilhen promised Ye Bai before that he would teach Ye Bai the third method of holding the sky. He also asked Ye Bai to go to the first abyss to find him. The sword that breaks the thorn is not in a hurry. Ye Bai knew what was going on. This kind of sword technique is only useful against opponents with extreme defense. Ye Bai himself is an extremely defensive being. If he meets his opponent in chess, even if he doesn't break the thorn, Ye Bai can forcefully kill the opponent. Moreover, in this fight with his second brother, Ye Bai actually still had some strength to spare and kept a lot of trump cards. For example, the void exile stored in the Eye of Insight, the greedy desire of the power of nature, etc. Ye Bai hasn't shaken anyone yet. Such unfair fighting conditions made Ye Bai very uncomfortable. Finally, I'm barely 50-50 with my second brother. Ye Bai was quite satisfied with this result. Moreover, Ye Bai still has a lot of room for improvement. The source of greed, the source of evil, the source of shadow. Now Ye Bai has 3 of the origins of the law. Certainly. The source of the film was temporarily placed in Ye Bai's hands, and would be returned to the film brother in the future. Ye Bai usually doesn't get stuck when he agrees to his own affairs. There is a difference between closeness and distance. As for the source of demons, Ye Bai was going to use it to study skills, but he was not ready to integrate it into his own shuracy. Dracula always talks about a demon lord behind his back. Ye Bai is not a devil. Although he peels skin, cramps, sucks marrow, raises ashes, plucks wool, and scrapes the ground. But Ye Bai knew that he was a human race with pure blood. What is really useful to Ye Bai is the origin of greed. After the power of nature returns to its golden version, Ye Bai will start to work on how to deconstruct the origin of greed and integrate it into his own shuracy. By then, Ye Bai's combat power will reach another level. And if Ye Bai wants to improve his combat power, there are many ways. Level up, change jobs, awaken talents. Right? That's right, bro. If you have the Eye of Insight awakened 4 times, the outcome will be decided by 37. Looking at the prompt in front of him, Ye Bai fell into silence. Whose is this 70%? Other people's. There is a saying that if both parties have SSS level talents that have been awakened 4 times, it's clear who wins and who loses. I didn't care about the eyelids. Ye Bai read Shuemeng's reply carefully. He thinks. The second brother probably guessed what happened back then. Due to the influence of talent, Wilhelm will forget the battle and conversation that happened. But the sword Wilhelm realized will never be forgotten. Now that the second brother knows, he has no other expression. That means Ye Bai won't be hit by a sword. Wilhelm hasn't killed Shura for 7 days. Ye Bai felt that he was getting angry again. Anyway, the second brother is in the abyss. If he doesn't join in the fun, he won't get hacked. Ye Bai sent a message to Shuemeng again. Shura, how is the weather in the second abyss? Shuemeng, generally, I'm here to move bricks. Anything else? Shura, how do you know that the projection match between me and your second father is 50-50? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 647. Shura's words made Shuemeng stupid. Shura, and Wilhelm, 50-50? What a joke. Shuemeng couldn't accept it. Shuemeng replied directly, I don't believe it. He. Ye Bai said confidently. Do I have the guts to lie to you? Shuemeng. At first glance, this sounds strange. But after thinking about it carefully, Shura really didn't dare to joke about this matter. Shura is timid and timid. Both timid and brave. Since Shura dared to say this, it was probably because of this. Without giving Shuemeng a chance to ask more questions, Ye Bai hung up the call for fear of being exposed. He was sitting in the wolf's nest and casually ordered a few glasses of free wine. By chance, my good disciple Yeju is here. Hey, you upgraded so quickly. Ye Bai looked at Yeju. He hadn't seen him for a week. Yeju was already level 899 and was about to become the god of war. Yeju was very humble and said seriously. They are all guided by the Dream Master. You are about to advance to the level of god of war. I have nothing to give you as a teacher. Ye Bai thought about it for a while, logged into the pavilion of all things, and selected the cheapest piece of Yeju's previous equipment to buy. This thing was given to Xiaoyao by Ye Bai. Now I spent my own money to buy it back. Here, take it. Ye Bai sent the weapon to Yeju and warned at the same time. Shuemeng was bewitched by the devil, and my teacher already has a goal. It is a level 999 monster that I will kill in a few days. This devil is so hateful. Yabai and the most powerful seeds of the demon clan. A fight will take place on the 40th floor to the death. For Yabai, fighting to the death has only one meaning. As long as the enemy is not dead, Shura will not stop. Listening to the Dream Master's words, Yeju was filled with emotions in his heart. He is truly a dreamer. Level 999 monsters, kill them at will. The tone is so relaxed, it's as easy as crushing an ant. Yabai chatted with Yeju for a few more words and told him to practice hard. Seeing that the time was almost up, Yabai left the wolf den and returned to reality. Back in the Eternal Forest, Yabai was in no hurry to leave. When I watched the small theater today, Yabai noticed a detail. Wilhen and Xuemeng are contemporaries. But there is a problem here. Xueju died in the abyss of power very early. According to common sense, Xuemeng's age should be close to 100, but Xuemeng claimed that he was only 70 or 80 years old, and he was the same generation as Wilhen. No matter how you calculate the time, there is a difference of more than 10 years. Yabai was very concerned about this blank time. Most likely, this has something to do with Yingju lying to him. If historical inventor Yingju was still on Blue Star, he could make up countless versions of the story just from this incident. When you stay with Master Ju, you don't learn any history at all. You just learn to make up stories. Although Master Ju is on a business trip. But Yabai was still fighting with Master Ju from afar. Fortunately, Yabai now has a better choice, third brother Xiaoao. Yabai rushed to the Eternal Tower and happened to meet Zhao Qian nearby. "Brother, what are you busy with?" After saying hello, Zhao Qian looked sad, like a bitter gourd, and sighed. "My boss called me to ask something." "Yabai?" he quickly asked. "Has this kind of thing happened before?" "No." Zhao Qian shook his head and explained. "This is the first time my boss has asked about the Wanwu Pavilion since he founded it. In a sense, Xiaoao's current performance is getting closer and closer to human beings. Whether you look at this change from the perspective of Xiaoao or Shura, it is a good thing. The most powerful demon god, what a coincidence, I thought so too. This is the trickiest part. If Xiaoao, the most powerful person in the human race, suddenly turned into a Taoist with no power to restrain a chicken, God knows what the mighty demon will do. Yabai could only pray that he would have the strength to fight before that day comes. In fact, the speed at which his combat power improves is considered fast even when compared with the strongest men of the previous 3 generations. Yabai asked shamelessly. "What did my third brother ask?" Zhao Qian had nothing to hide, so he repeated Xiaoao's question. "How many things and money does the Wanwu Pavilion have?" A question mark appeared above Yabai's head. The third brother asked why. "Wait, the third brother has founded the Wanwu Pavilion for 36 years. Is this the first time he cares about his own power?" The shopkeeper just waved his hand and looked at Shura for fun. "It's really a hands-off shopkeeper, but I still want to watch Xiaoao." Coincidentally, Yabai was also very concerned about this issue. "So, how much money does Wanwu Pavilion have?" Zhao Qian. "Fourth brother, restrain yourself, your saliva is about to flow out." Yabai coughed twice and defended himself. "I've been studying the origin of greed recently, and it has some side effects." Understand. Zhao Qian spread his hands and said helplessly. "I don't know either. There is no way, Wanwu Pavilion is too rich. Zhao Qian is not interested in money, and Xiaoao is not interested in most things. Zhao Qian is only responsible for making money. No one really cares about how much he earns." Regarding Xiaoao's sudden question, Zhao Qian could only give a rough range. "Including debts, fixed assets, legion assets, etc." Zhao Qian estimated that Trillion God of War merits and above. Ye Bai. For the first time in his life, Ye Bai felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. Trillions. The merits of the God of War. Look at yourself, you will be happy if you go to the 8th abyss and earn tens of millions of God of War merits from Poseidon. The most powerful people are carefree and silent, and their assets have reached more than 1 trillion. Certainly. There are some historical reasons here. When the Wanwu Pavilion was first established, Zhao Qian donated all his family property to it, laying an extremely solid foundation for the Wanwu Pavilion. At the same time, Wanwuj does not only do business within the human race. Eternal Temple, Abyss, demons, gods. They are all customers of Wanwu Pavilion. When dealing with foreigners, Wanwu Pavilion is a golden sign, and the handling fees are not cheap either. For example, the Goblin family owes the Wanwu Pavilion a large amount of money. This money is just paper wealth, and it will be impossible to pay it off without a few thousand years. And in these thousands of years, the Goblin family has to work in vain for the pavilion of all things. The trillions of achievements of the God of War are not empty words. But more things are assets than cash. Rich in the true sense of the word. Ye Bai wiped his mouth and said without any acidity. Quite a lot. Fourth brother, I still have something to do, so I have to go and get busy. Zhao Qian and Ye Bai said hello and left in a hurry. Since his boss asked, as the master of the Wanwu Pavilion, Zhao Qian had to give an answer. Not long after Zhao Qian left, a white cloud fell in front of Ye Bai, sending him to the 99th floor. Morning. Good morning. After saying hello, Ye Bai went straight to the topic and expressed his doubts. Oh. Xiaoao replied casually. 72 years ago, the second generation of the most powerful seed designated by the human race was originally Shuemeng. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjiao Old Thief. Chapter 648. Is Shuemeng the original second generation supreme seed? This answer. Beyond Ye Bai's expectations. The amount of information contained in just one sentence is enough for Ye Bai to digest for a day. He felt like he was jumping up and down in the melon field. Eat melon, eat melon. The friend seed where Ye Bai is sitting should be called Guapeng. The key is that the melons here in Xiaoao are true. I didn't expect that the melons sold by a certain Yingju were short of a pound or so. They didn't even weigh 15 pounds. I wanted to put a magnet on the scale. Ye Bai maintained his posture and continued to eat the melon, waiting for the next step. Xiaoao saw Ye Bai's confusion and spoke again. 100 years ago, the human race was in a critical situation. Shuemeng, the son of Shueju, was gifted since childhood and was regarded as the next generation to carry the flag. In a previous chat, Ye Bai already knew the source of his talent. Talent is a fragment of the most powerful source. SSS level talents are only relatively complete fragments, nothing more. Powerful men like Shuemeng, Lan Bangxian, Huo Tianwang, and Lan Tiankai, who has awakened 3 times. Their SS level talents are powerful enough and unique among SS level talents. If there is no strongest person in the same generation, it is very likely that some of them will be selected to become the strongest seeds. Especially Shuemeng, he was so fierce. Lan Tiankai, who had awakened for the 3rd time at the age of 800, was also affected by this, and his talent was passively weakened. This weakening is irreversible. Everyone is well aware of the gap between SS level talents and SSS level talents. Even if it is contemptuous, it can also sweep all SS level talents. Because Shuemeng's performance was so outstanding, when he was about to turn 18, the teacher called a meeting of powerful human beings. Xiaoao spoke very seriously, as if he saw it with his own eyes. In fact, 100 years ago, Xiaoao came to Blue Star with the Eternal Tower. To be precise, Xiaoao not only heard about these things, but even participated in some of them. Xiaoao recalled. As a result of the meeting, Xuemeng was sent to a cryogenic chamber and allowed to hibernate for more than 10 years. When the next SSS level talent appears, Xuemeng will be awakened to participate in talent awakening. Xuemeng did not agree with this at first. In his opinion, wake up early and kill the enemy early. What kind of powerful seed, SSS level talent, can lead to the backstation? After Yingju came to talk to Xuemeng with a knife. Xuemeng, with a bruised nose and swollen face, understood for the first time in his life. What does it mean to not listen to the old man's words and get a knife in front of you? Xuemeng changed his mind and entered the hibernation cabin. He slept there for more than 10 years and did not wake up until 72 years ago. In fact, regarding Yingju's handling and approach, Ye Bai could understand and even support it. On the one hand, Xueju died in the battle to the strong abyss, which was a blessing for the human race to survive. The human race cannot treat Xuemeng badly, let alone Xueju bleed and cry. Even if other people have this idea. Xuemeng's elders such as Uncle Ju, Uncle Huo, Uncle Lan, Grandpa Lan, and Nightmare's adoptive father also did not agree. After all, Xuemeng is a person who has a good relationship with his elders. Otherwise, there would not be two powerful adoptive fathers. Xuemeng is a real upright Miaohong, who is inseparable from the abyss. On the other hand, Xuemeng himself is too fierce. At that time, everyone thought that as long as Xuemeng participated in the awakening, he would have the SSS level talent. In fact, Xuemeng did not live up to the expectations of others. In human history, apart from the most powerful ones, Xuemeng is the most powerful among those at the same level. De Menzi, relying on his own strength to support two powerful legions, did not rely on his adoptive father, but the bloody giant hammer in his hand. Before meeting Shura, what a beauty Xuemeng is! Xuemeng, who was hibernating, didn't know. Before he hibernated, a child named Wu Heng was born in a peaceful corner of the world. Against the background of the bloody battle between humans and demons. This boy named Wu Heng changed from a baby to a child, and from a child to a teenager. Fortunately, he didn't die. Until 72 years ago. Wu Heng, who turned 18, signed up to participate in Talent Awakening. Wu Heng and Xuemeng placed their palms on the eternal core crystal almost at the same time. Finally, the strongest origin chose Wu Heng. The legendary life of the most powerful Wu Heng has officially begun. The life of Xuemeng, the most powerful adopted son, also slowly began to unfold. After listening to Xiaoao's introduction, Ye Bai nodded slowly, understanding the ins and outs of the matter. As for who awakens SSS level talent, the strong human race actually has no decision-making power. What they can do is to hibernate their promising genius seeds in advance and send them to the right time to participate in talent awakening and gamble on a possibility. At that time, everyone was optimistic about Xuemeng. Who would have known that Wu Heng would appear on the way, surprising everyone at first, and then ecstatically. Xuemeng is fierce, Wu Heng is even stronger than Xuemeng. Xuemeng, who failed to become the most powerful seed. There is no regret or dissatisfaction. He just wants to grow up quickly, go to the battlefield as soon as possible, and avenge his father. Depending on your talent level, in the eyes of others, you will be resentful. In fact, Xuemeng knew the inside story about the origin of Xianqiang. If your skills are not as good as others, you have nothing to say. Moreover, Xuemeng, my adoptive father Wu Heng is here, please pay my respects to the child. Xuemeng feels so happy after learning swordsmanship from Wu Heng for a long time. It feels good to realize the sword without a trace for a while, and it feels good to keep enlightening the sword forever. Xuemeng, who was not enlightened in the matter of sword enlightenment. Learning swordsmanship is very fast. Thinking of this, an idea flashed in Ye Bai's mind, and he immediately thought of another possibility. Third brother, doesn't that mean that the so-called era of the strongest is actually the result of the human race's active choice? Just imagine. SSS-level talents appear once in 36 years, and the human race has mastered this rule. On this basis, all talented seeds under the age of May 18 be visited by the authorities and sign special agreements. These genius seeds will go into hibernation just like Shui-Meng, and then wait for the right time to unblock and participate in the awakening of talents. And this generation will definitely have an SSS level talent. What matters is a person who says what he has to say. Let's not talk about the nightmare generation. The reason is simple. What about me? No seed of genius ends hibernation in this generation. Therefore, a large number of genius seeds ended their hibernation and were thrown into this era. Xiaoao announced the answer for Ye Bai. We also know that once Xiaoao awakens his talent, it will most likely be an SSS level talent. The reversal of the situation between the human race and the abyss cannot be achieved overnight, nor is it the work of one generation. At that time, Xiaoao was about to die. But another, bigger doubt came to Ye Bai's mind. The doubts in Ye Bai's heart were somewhat relieved. The strong men of the human race have long known about the existence of Xiaoao. In my generation, there are no dormant seeds of genius awakening. The freedom of the mortal body is forced to awaken the talent. There were so many geniuses in the Shura era. In Wuhan's generation, only Shui-Meng enjoyed this treatment. So, Ye Bai asked. Before Shura appeared in the world, the human race did not know who would be the most powerful seed in this generation. Xiaoao, even if he has not become the strongest, he still feels very oppressive. Have to say. When it comes to Xiaoao's generation, understood things such as Shui-Meng, Wuhan, and the Age of Strength. Right. At the same time, the concentration of a large number of genius seeds to awaken their talents originally meant the prosperity and strength of the human race. Chat with Xiaoao. It was so convoluted that Xiaoao couldn't understand it and was too lazy to understand it. It is destined that in the next 10, 20, or even 30 years, strong men will emerge one after another. The era of the strongest and the strongest is actually an era of mutual fulfillment and mutual choice. After surviving the bloody battle, we began to plan for 100 years and take a long-term view. Xiaoao affirmed Ye Bai's conjecture. The high-level traders of the human race have great courage and courage. Therefore, in the same way, it is the result of hundreds of years and several generations of constant fighting. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 649. What about me? Ye Bai didn't expect that his question would actually make Xiaoao fall into silence. Ye Bai is a time traveler. Others don't know about this, but Ye Bai knows it very well. Xiaoao knew that Ye Bai had a special background. Ye Bai had previously thought about showing off his cards to Xiaoao, but was interrupted by Xiaoao. Since then, both parties have reached a tacit agreement not to discuss the matter again. But, after learning about the origin of the strongest, SSS-level talents, and many secrets of the strongest era, Ye Bai couldn't help but ask this question. What about me? Is Ye Bai's SSS-level talent also predetermined, or is it just an accident? After a moment of silence, Xiaoao spoke, but gave Ye Bai an unexpected answer. I am not omniscient. This is the first time in Ye Bai's life. Hearing Xiaoao admitted himself, he also had something he didn't know. Why is it Ye Bai, why is it the eye of insight? Xiaoao doesn't know the answer. From a happy perspective, everything is natural. Xiaoao is about to die, so he naturally needs to awaken his talent. After awakening SSS level talents, you will naturally become the strongest. After becoming the most powerful person, one naturally waits for the next most powerful seed to appear. For Xiaoao, changing the white leaves to green leaves or yellow leaves will not change the result of Xiaoao will fight the most powerful demon god. But the starting point and end point remain the same, but the process will be different. Replace Yabai with someone else. The direction of many things will change quietly. Yingju will only protect the road as he should, instead of risking his life to break into the abyss of the most powerful. King Huotian will get his wish and die in the first abyss. Wilhen will produce more swords and kill more demons. Xuemen will keep more wool. Xiaoao will sit silently on the 99th floor, waiting for the new generation of powerful seeds to rise, waiting for the powerful demon god to appear, and then go to the final battle. It seems like something strange has been mixed in. Yabai's appearance changed the fate of too many people. Fortunately, these changes are positive, changes for the better. After learning the truth, Yabai's question was not only about the source of his SSS level talent, but also about Xiaoao. So how did I do? How did Yabai respond to the answer sheet of Xian Seed? Xiaoao is the answerer of the previous generation, and the supreme demon god is the final examiner. Yabai was planning to clarify this meaning. After all, the third brother might not be able to understand the implication. On the 99th floor, Xiaoao's voice came again. Good. Yabai. Before he could be shocked, Xiaoao continued. Wrong. Xiaoao shook his head. You did a great job. Hiss. Yabai fell into a state of shock, joy, fear, and panic for a moment. Surprised that Xiaoao actually understood it. Happiness is joy in being recognized by Xiaoao. I'm afraid that third brother's increasingly humane behavior will be too fast. Panic, because I didn't expect that I could get such a high evaluation, so I was inevitably a little panicked for a while. In short, these emotions began to attack Yabai suddenly, leaving him at a loss. Calm down. Yabai took a few deep breaths and almost fell from the white clouds. It's floating. Before Yabai could say anything more, a yawn came from the tower. Sleepy. Yabai saluted respectfully. Then I'll go back first. You can rest early. Good. The white clouds slowly fall to the ground. When Yabai recalled the previous conversation, his mind was inevitably a little heavy. He was not proud of his achievements. Killing the demon lord alone, counter-killing the 8th demon god, capturing Prince Huang, and supporting Poseidon. They are just some small contributions, not worth mentioning. Yabai didn't even bother to mention it. The heavy thing about Yabai is that third brother Xiaoao seems to have finally figured it out. According to the previous inference, once Xiaoao wants to understand that problem, he will recognize the matter of Xiaoao Mendi from the bottom of his heart. Then Xiaoao will become an ordinary person again. And that butterfly will have power comparable to the origin of the world, which is the strength of Xiaoao, the strongest man today. In other words, there will be one less powerful person in the human race, and there will be one more butterfly in the world who can compete with the most powerful person. This is really not good news for the human race. The first to bear the brunt is Shura, the most powerful seed protected by Xiaoao. If there is no Xiaoao to deter the most powerful demon, Shura was the first to open the banquet. The most powerful demon god today is different from the one 100 years ago. 100 years ago, when Nightmare appeared in the world, the most powerful demon god could not break out of the seal. There were still many ancestors fighting for control in the most powerful origin, and they could not care about Nightmare. And during these 100 years, the most powerful demon god appeared twice in the world, and was seriously injured by the most powerful human beings both times. While being seriously injured, the most powerful demon god also solved some of his own troubles. Remove all the rotten flesh and sores from the body. The most powerful demon god with a lower level and lower realm is actually more powerful. He has to find a way to reach the threshold of becoming the strongest. At that time, one of the costs was that Tan Yan could not awaken 4 times without entering the 90th level. Okay, see you in the trading secret area. Talent, level, profession. The 9th level god of war, even the god of war, could no longer satisfy Ye Bai. Ye Bai must find another way and find other ways. Lan Tiankai's eyebrows furrowed and he fell into deep thought. After thinking for a moment, Mr. Lan sighed and said helplessly. Taking out the communicator, Ye Bai dialed a number. In the foreseeable future. Whether it's for your own life or the overall situation. Shura's request touched upon Lan Lao's knowledge blind spot. From Ye Bai's perspective. Ye Bai. After listening to Shura's explanation of his purpose. Ye Bai will definitely do the awakening of SSS level talents, and the priority is even very high. Time waits not for us. Want to become stronger faster. Before something changes in Xiaoao, Ye Bai must have the power to fight. And ask Danian how to maximize his combat power. According to the agreement with Lan Lao, Ye Bai rushed to the secret trading place, and in a secret room, he met Lan Lao, whom he had not seen for a long time. Fortunately, Xiaoao took action and helped Ye Bai solve this hidden danger, and the matter came to an end. Among the 4 known generations of powerful seeds, you are already the fastest. What Ye Bai can do has already reached the limit. Ye Bai decided to give full play to his traditional virtue-shaking people. If Ye Bai thinks about it alone, even if he breaks his mind, he can't come up with the result. Lao Lan, it's me, Xiaoxiu, are you busy now? I have something to talk to. This kind of elimination will become faster and faster, and the most powerful demon god will become stronger and stronger. The answer given by Danian is basically. The ancestor of demons who was eliminated by the most powerful source is a ready-made example. Ye Bai ignored the contemptuous boasting. Here I recommend to you the 4th awakening of the Eye of Insight. Ye Bai paid a heavy price. Awakening, awakening, really awakening. I was forced to awaken 3 times before. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 650. Ye Bai is the fastest? This isn't right. Ye Bai subconsciously retorted, always feeling that there was something wrong with Lan Lao's analysis. As an eternal tower theorist, Mr. Lan pays most attention to the analysis of data and speaks with facts. Lan Lao counted them one by one. Back in Nightmare, I entered the level in a daze at first, often wasting time waiting for my teammates. After the abyss opened, Nightmare entered the abyss for the first time, and it took him more than half a month to come back. As the first generation of pioneers, there is no doubt that Nightmare is strong, and it is reasonable for her to grow slower than Ye Bai. Ye Bai nodded slightly, straightened his posture, and waited for the next words. Staying in front of Mr. Lan always feels like you are in class. Mr. Lan continued. Wilhen sneaked into the abyss several times in the past. It was also because of this that he wasted time. Ye Bai. Good guy, Ye Bai called him a good guy. His generation, every time before going to the abyss, they would like to turn their entire family upside down and be armed to the teeth before they dare to set out. Second brother is good. Just run away. Ye Bai even suspected that the second brother would specifically choose to run away when Master Ju was away. Since you want to pursue excitement, think carefully. It's the irritable old brother Wilhen, which makes sense. As for Xiaoao, Lan Lao smiled bitterly and shook his head. The human race has never known Xiaoao's true combat power. Maybe ninth brother knows a little more. Speak facts and reason. Among the 4 generations of powerful seeds, Shura really grew the fastest. Although this is quite counterintuitive. But facts are facts. The on-paper combat power of shame of the strongest is unexpectedly strong. Mr. Lan continued. Besides, you should have noticed. Regardless of money, there is little room for improvement in any aspect. Yabai naturally knew this. In fact, if the human race really has something that can help Shura, even if it is given away for free, it will be given to Yabai. Yabai bought the power of nature for several thousand gold coins in the trading secret realm, which is proof of this. Force of nature, as the prototype of SS-level equipment, has the potential of SSS-level equipment. Normally, if placed in the pavilion of all things, at least hundreds of thousands of God of War merits would be sold. This deal. It was a senior member of the human race who paid the price difference for Yabai behind the scenes. To be precise, it was the money paid by Xuemeng. This is also the first time in history that Xuemeng pays for Shura. Actually, there is an unspoken understanding on both sides. Facing the most powerful seeds, the human race gave their full support. In return, the strongest seeds will also step forward at certain moments. In the past 100 years, every investment in the most powerful seeds has brought 100-fold or even 1,000-fold return to humanity. In fact, the resources invested in Shura have already paid back long ago. If we leave Xuemeng aside, the human race has recovered its capital more than 10 times. Full resources, full benefits. The Eternal Tower is already the fastest place to increase combat power. And Yabai's breakthrough speed has already been maxed out. Like a car with the accelerator pressed to the floor. There is no room for improvement in speed and acceleration. Yabai fell into silence and reached a deadlock again. Unexpectedly, shaking people also failed. But Lan Lao changed the subject and said, besides Blue Star and Eternal Tower, there is another place where you can improve your combat power. Yabai asked further. Where? Void. Lan Lao added. To be precise, it's the Void Vortex. There is a void passage outside the Blue Star, and on the other side of the passage is the Void Whirlpool. Yabai frowned slightly. He didn't have a good impression of the void. Yabai's fire element was fused with void fragments, and void monsters would appear around him from time to time. At the same time, the last time Yabai killed the demon ancestor alone, a level 1000 demon from the void came out and intervened, almost ruining Yabai's event. The void is a mysterious place full of unknowns and dangers. Unknown and mysterious are okay to say. Yabai has a biting eye, which is somewhat useful. Mainly dangerous. Yabai repeated Lao Ian's words, a little puzzled. Void passage. Yes, this passage was created when the Eternal Tower came. The information about the Void Maelstrom has always been a top secret among the human race, and everyone who should know it under normal circumstances knows. Regarding the origin of the Void Channel, Mr. Lan gave a brief introduction. After he finishes sorting out the specific information, he will send a copy to Shura. As for whether and when to go in the end, it's up to Yabai to decide. The human race has too little information about the Void Vortex. Only a few people have been to the Void Vortex. After coming back, he kept silent about the specific encounter. At the end, Mr. Lan emphasized. The Void Vortex is dangerous, very dangerous. In the words of a nightmare, even if the most powerful seed is gone, there is also a risk of falling. Fall. Under normal circumstances. Just by this sentence, Shura will exclude the Void Whirlpool. The most powerful seed of the human race. The son of a rich man will not sit down in court. After he becomes the most powerful, wouldn't it be nice to call the third brother and the second brother to brave the maelstrom together? Laughing to death, not daring to die at all. Yabai didn't want to look back on the past and find that at certain times, he clearly had the opportunity to do better and change something, but in the end he failed to do so. Yabai knows better. if the income is high enough. Today's Shura is obviously a little different. Where is my second brother? Why are you killing indiscriminately? In the welcoming team, Su Qingfeng, the 9th level god of war, had to look away, feeling his eyes stinging and tears streaming down his face. And Lao Lan also saw this, so he mentioned the void vortex to him. This ratio can fluctuate depending on the situation. If something happened, it would be worse than killing him. When asked about the experience of the void vortex, for example, win the breaking money plus again, he was afraid that he would regret it. The gold medal praising Lan Bangxian patiently praised him again. Xuemang, Lan Bangxian, and others were guarding outside the void passage. Who is not afraid of death? Since there is still a chance now, it is not impossible to lower the standard to 97%. As for Shura calling Wuhan his second brother, for example, can't learn Golden Abyss. After knowing what Nightmare said about the void vortex, Ye Bai has always been very self-aware. As long as you have a sword, it can only be said that Ye Bai has always been very strict with himself. Ye Bai is willing to take a huge risk with a survival rate of over 98% and give it a try. Lan Lao was already numb and didn't have much thoughts. Wuhan said. Wuhan only said 3 words. He is afraid of death. Only. He recalled those days. I kill indiscriminately. Ye Bai opened his eyes wide and asked curiously. A man dressed in black rushed out, holding a broken sword. He had hundreds of injuries all over his body, but his whole body was as sharp as a shocking sword. If that happened,